All right, we're about to dive into global economics, but forget the complicated charts and dense textbooks. Our guide for today? The McDonald's Big Mac. Seriously, let's find out what a simple burger can teach us about how the world's economy actually works.
So let me ask you this. What's a dollar really worth? It seems like a simple question, right? But the answer completely depends on where you are standing. The real power of a dollar, what it can actually get you, changes a lot from country to country.
And I mean, the difference can be just wild. Take $1 to India, and you could get yourself a full, delicious meal. Try to spend that same dollar in France, and you might just have enough to get into a public restroom.
Yeah, really. And the list goes on. In Vietnam, that dollar gets you an amazing bowl of pho. In Bangladesh, a 45-minute ride through the city. Pakistan, 8 cups of tea. Or how about Uganda, a whole plate of stew. So what is going on here? Why is the exact same dollar a powerhouse in one place and barely worth anything in another?
That massive difference is the key question. And it all comes down to a really important economic idea that people have been trying to figure out for ages.
To understand it, we need to look at a field of study with a pretty great name, Burgernomics.
The official term for this is Purchasing Power Parity, or PPP. Now, the theory is pretty straightforward. Over time, exchange rates should balance out so that a basket of the exact same stuff costs the same everywhere. So in a perfect world, a shopping trip in Tokyo should cost the same as one in Toronto once you do the currency conversion.
But okay, here's the catch. What exactly is in that identical basket? Well, the official basket that organizations like the OECD use is gigantic. We're talking over 3,000 items, from bread and milk to cars and construction costs. It's super thorough, but let's be honest, it's not exactly easy for you and me to wrap our heads around.
So back in 1986, the folks at the Economist Magazine came up with a really clever, kind of funny solution. They said they wanted to make this whole exchange rate thing, and I quote, a bit more digestible.
And their answer? The Big Mac. It was genius. It was the perfect, simple basket of goods. Why? Because McDonald's is almost everywhere, and the Big Mac is incredibly standardized. The ingredients, how it's made, the brand, it's pretty much the same burger, whether you're in Boston or Beijing.
And just like that, the Big Mac Index was born. A super simple way to see the entire global economy inside a hamburger bun. So how does it actually work? Well, it's so much simpler than that 3,000-item basket. It's just 4 steps. You take the price of a Big Mac in the local currency, you divide it by the price of a Big Mac in the US, and bam, that gives you what we call the implied exchange rate. Let's use a real example to see it in action. In Switzerland, a Big Mac is about 6.70 francs. In the US, it's about 5.58. You do the math, and the rate should be 1.20 Swiss francs for every US dollar. That's our burger-based exchange rate. Now here's the magic. You take that implied rate, the 1.20, and you compare it to the actual exchange rate on the market, which is closer to 0.87. Because the burger rate is so much higher, it suggests that the Swiss franc is actually overvalued compared to the dollar. And you see this play out all over the world. If you look at the data from July 2023, countries like Switzerland and Norway are right at the top of the list with the most expensive Big Macs. This isn't just about a pricey lunch, it's a pretty good clue that their currencies are running strong, maybe even a little too strong, against the US dollar. Now flip it around and look at the other end of the list. You've got places like Taiwan, Indonesia, and India. The super low price of a Big Mac there suggests their currencies are undervalued. And that brings us right back to the beginning. It's exactly why your dollar feels so much more powerful in those places. Okay, but before we all start making international investments based on burgers, we have to be honest. The Big Mac Index was always meant to be a bit of fun, a lighthearted guide. It is not perfect science, and it definitely has some limitations. I mean, for starters, McDonald's isn't literally everywhere, which leaves some big blind spots, especially across Africa. Culture is another big one. In some places, a Big Mac is a cheap meal. In others, it's more of a luxury treat. Then you have to factor in local costs like taxes and wages, which can really throw the numbers off. And of course, the product isn't always identical. India's famous chicken mar hajamak isn't a beef-based Big Mac at all.
But even with its flaws, this index has had some very real-world consequences. Just check out this wild story from Argentina in the early 2010s. The government was being accused of faking its inflation numbers, while the Economist pointed out that the price of burgers was rising almost twice as fast as the official inflation rate. Turns out there were reports that the government was basically forcing McDonald's to sell Big Macs at a fake low price just to make their economy look better on the index. And guess what? Right after the media blew the lid off the story, the price of a Big Mac meal suddenly shot up by 26%.
So yeah, the index is flawed, but it's clearly more than just a silly list. It points to something much, much bigger.
You see, the real value of the Big Mac Index isn't about getting a perfectly accurate number for currency valuation. Its real power is as an idea. It's about taking a massive, complex, kind of boring economic theory and making it simple enough for anyone to understand.
And that idea has totally caught on. It's not just about burgers anymore. People have created a Starbucks Latte Index, an IKEA Billy Bookshelf Index. There was even an iPod Index for a while. They all use the same core concept. Use one globally recognized product to tell a simple story about the global economy.
And that's really the point, isn't it? These indexes are fun, they're accessible, and they give us a tangible way to understand what money is really worth. They let us see the whole complicated global economy through the lens of something we actually know.
So, I'll leave you with this final thought. If you had to create your own index to take the temperature of the world's economy, what single everyday item would you choose? Something to chew on. Thanks for joining us for this explainer.